Now, as the U.S. continues to confront its racist past, Ghana is turning that history upside down and welcoming Black Americans back home.
We begin this hour with the story of an African country opening its arms to Black Americans. Ghana's tourism minister began encouraging African Americans to move there in 2019. As Black Lives Matter protests erupted, she said, quote, "You don't have to stay where you're not wanted."
Ghana's Elmina Castle occupies a dark place in America's history. This used to be a central trading hub where African people from across the continent were bought and sold into slavery.
So good morning. As you can see, right now I'm not in Nairobi, but I am in the village right now, and this place is very much different from Nairobi city. It's very much different from urban areas. We are so much into the rural parts of Kenya, you know, and you'll be surprised that many parts of Nairobi are like this. There are some challenges that when you come to the village you have to meet. Not only the village, there are some challenges that when you move to Kenya, you as an African American, you should be ready to face these challenges. And today, this is what we are going to discuss. Challenges African Americans might face when they move to Africa. And this is very real, and it's very legit. First of all, the roads. Second, electricity. Third, hospitals. Fourth, schools. Fifth, drinking water. Sixth, shopping centers. Like right now, we had to do shopping before coming right here. The shops are very far. And I told you, many African Americans are choosing village life over urban life. You see? And there's so much you'll have to sacrifice. There are some things that you need to let go. There are things you need to adapt to. There are things you need to do. First of all, first thing I'd like to advise an African American is this. If it's possible, and if you can help yourself with a car. And when you have a car, you should have a car that is a four-wheeled drive, you know, because these roads are so bad. Now, having a car will help you get into the shops, will help you get your kids into school if you have kids. It will also help you with bringing some water to your home. It will also help you with transporting yourselves, because the mode of transport here in this part of Kenya is motorcycles. And I told you, it's not only happening in my village, it's not about Evans's village. This is something that is happening in the whole of Kenya. It's happening in the whole of Kenya, yes. In fact, this place is better. There are some places where you will not find motorable way. You don't have a way to pass through. And when there's a way, for instance, where I'm living right now, there's a road. My goodness, these roads are so bad. They are so bad. That's why you should try and have a car, and it should be a four-wheel drive. If it's not, I would not advise for a small car like the one behind me, but if it's a small car like the one behind me, it should be a four-wheel drive, you know, that is able, the wheels are able to move. It can't get stuck in the mud, because you don't want to come to Africa and get stuck in the mud. The cost of buying cars in Kenya are relatively more expensive, not like the US. You know, once a vehicle leaves the US or whichever place it lives, Japan, Singapore, such places, when they move to Kenya, we have this custom duty, which is called, there's a name given to it. Now we have this, think of it like Kenyan IRS, Internal Revenue Services of Kenya. It's called the Kenya Revenue Authority. So the Kenya Revenue Authority really takes a lot from buying cars. It's not even almost, it's always double the car. For instance, if the car behind me, for instance, was going for around 500,000 in Kenya right now, it means that it was taken in Japan at the amount of 250,000 Kenya shillings. But once it hits the Kenyan ground, it hits double. That's why when you come to Africa, you might find that the cost of vehicles, the same kind of vehicle, is cheaper in USA, but in Kenya it's expensive. It's because of the Kenya Revenue Authority. But all in all, having a car gonna help you through a lot. You don't want to get stuck in the mud. You don't want to do this and that. You need to be prepared about this. So let's go to the second part. Now, the third thing that you need to take care of when you move to Africa is drinking water. We don't have drinking water. Actually, many parts of Nairobi don't have fresh water. You are not told this, but it's true. Many parts of Nairobi don't have fresh water, and the reason why they don't have fresh water is because the Kenya, it's called the Nairobi City Council. Think of it as a metropolitan council. These people are really expensive in selling water. So these people who are building houses, the landlords, have opted for digging boreholes in Nairobi. Even where I'm living, it's borehole water. It's not water from the city council. And this water is very salty. Very salty. You can never take this water. And when you start using this water on your utensils, do you know what happens? Your utensils turn. You know what salt does to utensils? You know? And besides that, you can never take this water. And when you bathe with the water, you just become white. The same problem is there in the villages. Come on, these are problems that are not in Evans's village. These are not problems that are unique to me. These are problems that are unique to Africa, particularly Kenya, the country I'm talking to right now. Many people moving to Africa, but they think that Africa is like the United States, where you will always find fresh drinking water. No. In Africa, let me advise you one thing. If you want to be smart, you need to come to Africa and dig a borehole. Dig a borehole for yourself. You can dig a borehole and erect a tank like this one. You erect a tank, and this tank will be fetching water for you. You see, you can harvest rainwater, or you can dig a borehole. After digging a borehole, you can always bring it up. The problem with digging a borehole is this one. Boreholes always have salty water. Depends with the area. Even right now, this water in my village is a bit salty, but not as salty as the one in Nairobi city. So this is something that you need to know as an African American. As an African American, when you move to Africa, please, find a home for yourself. Build a home if possible, or buy a home. But in these homes you won't get fresh water. You just need to invest some money. Invest like 200, maybe 300,000 Kenya shillings. That's around 1,800 US dollars. You dig some water, you put water pump over there, you put your generator over there, you pump the water to your house. Because you don't want to go thirsty in Africa. You don't want to die of thirst. And this problem of water is a problem that has always been there in Africa for the longest time. Even before electricity became a problem, water was a problem in Africa. So I personally don't know if I should call this a blessing or if I should call it not a blessing, because this place is where we've been getting water for the longest time possible. And this borehole you can see right over here serves close to 100 villages. Yes, 100 villages and very many families. See, this water was dug by a government institution back in the 80s. 1980s is when this water was dug, you know. And you saw me taking some water from this place, and it has some salinity in it, but it's acceptable. You can drink from it. You can cook with it. You can bathe with it. It's not like some of those which we have in Nairobi city. So moving to an African village, this is what you expect: pumping water from such tools, from such water pumps, you know. And I always say that if you're an African American and God gives you the capacity, one of the things you can do for the villages is at least provide some water for them. You saw what Mr. Beast did the other day. He made 100 wells for Africans in Kenya. 100 wells. I don't know if it was in Kenya only, but he made 100 wells. What is a huge problem for Africans, and it's gonna be a problem for you, because once you move to Africa, you cease being a black American. You become an African. We become one person, you know. And as an African American, if you can do something for the community, if you can do something for your brothers here at the continent, please do, please do, please do. Because people are really suffering, and right now it's the rainy season. At least some of them don't have to come here. Many people are not here right now because it's raining, and they harvested that rainwater and they are now using it to water their kettles, to wash themselves, to drink and to cook. You see, but during the during the sunny season, during the drought season, this place is always full to the brim with people and jerrycans. Now, this is why I was telling you, dig a well for you. Dig a well for yourself. Don't just come to Africa thinking everything is gonna fall in place. Dig a well in your own home, pump the water to your house, so you don't have to meet such problems, you know. I've told you about this water, the roads. Another thing you are not told about coming to Africa is this. When you come to Africa, in Africa we don't have... The birds are really making noise. Sorry about that, but that's acceptable. Better the sound of an animal than the sound of a machine, right? Okay. Now, one thing that you need to understand is this. When you come to Africa, like in the USA, you have these gas pipes that are fitted into the houses. In Africa, we don't have those gas and the houses and whatever. No, we don't have those ones here. In Africa, you use 3 stones and you use firewood, and you splice that firewood and you cook from the firewood. Nature itself provides raw material for this, you know. Zero carbon emission, zero petroleum. We don't really rely on petroleum. At least you don't have to spend money on fuel. If you have a tree, you can cut the branches of that tree and make firewood out of it. That's the advantage of living in an African village. In fact, food which has been cooked with firewood is the sweetest food. I've discovered that food which has been prepared by electricity is way much different but compared to the food which has been prepared with firewood. At least here, in terms of cooking, you'll save some cost. But I would advise this: when it comes to rainfall, what's wrong with this bird? What's wrong with the rooster? Rooster? Rooster! So this is one thing that you can see and you can feel, yeah? Now, I would really advise for this. If you are coming to Africa, you can try and find a means. If you are building a house, build a house that has a chimney. Build a house that has a chicken which is far from the sitting room. This chicken you can be using to use firewood, because many houses here use firewood. Like right now, it's the rainy season. It's very cold here in Kenya at this season. Now, having a house with a chimney is a very good advantage, and you will be saving cost. You will be warming the house. You don't need air conditioners, which will be spending a lot of your money. That's another bright side of living in Africa. And also another thing is the water. I told you about the water. I told you about the firewood. What's left is electricity. Before we discuss about electricity, I have to punish this rooster. Now, the major problem that is really affecting people living in Africa, and another problem that is going to affect you as a black American who wants to come to Africa, is this: electricity. electricity is a very, very big problem in Kenya right now. In fact, the reason why I'm saying this is because I've gotten many comments. I read the comment section. I've gotten many emails on my on my email address. People are addressing issues of moving back to Africa. Men, women, people of middle age, and they're saying, I want to go and live in the African villages. They are tired of the loudness of the towns. But the African village, electricity here is like gold. Having electricity in this place is so damn hard. First of all, it starts with even charging your phone. Right now, my phone is at 18%. If you can see, it's at 18%. I don't know whether you can see. This 18% is what I need to make sure I go through by up to the day ends. Is what I have to make sure that I make my phone calls, I edit the videos because I didn't carry the computer over this place. There is no electricity. Electricity is no problem. So if you're an African American and you have those huge machineries and you want to move to Africa, you're gonna have some problems. You're gonna have some problems because you don't have to rely on electricity. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Now, the reason why electricity is hard to find here in Africa, particularly the rural areas right now, is because first of all we have the corrupt leaders, the corrupt officials who are governing electricity. The company that supplies energy in Kenya is called the KenGen. KenGen is the one which harvests the energy from hydroelectric power, from geothermal, or from the windmills, And when these companies harvest this power, they sell this power to another company, which is called the KPLC. KPLC stands for Kenya Power and Lighting Company. Chinese companies, South African companies, American companies, very many companies throughout the world have come to Kenya trying to sell them energy, trying to sell Kenyans energy, but the government always finds some means to banish them outside, always finds some means to not let them come in. They want to be the sole proprietors. They want to be the sole providers of electricity. They don't want any competition. They would overtax these people, or they would just put many things into place that would make them feel hard to continue with the business of supplying energy. And for this reason, the KPLC don't really have a competition. And they sleep on the job. They really sleep on the job. Right now, for example, to get electricity, which is like electricity here at my village is like 10 kilometers from here, like something like 10 kilometers from here is where we have electricity, is where we have the center where there's electricity. Now, to get that electricity from that center into this our village, into this our home, my father's home, it requires 400,000 Kenya shillings. 400,000 Kenya shillings. Now, let me ask you something. As maybe you, as a person from the United States, you might be thinking, oh, 400k Kenya shillings is a little. I can manage that. But let me tell you one thing. Many Kenyans don't have that money. So many Kenyans don't have that. A little, like, there's a percentage which said that less than 70,000 Kenyans, less than 70,000 Kenyans are earning 100,000 plus. How will an old man find 400,000 to bring electricity here? And even after paying that 400,000, there is no guarantee that they will bring it on time. They can even take 2 years. There's been cases that have taken 2 years, and they still use the wooden poles. These wooden poles have problems with mite. Here we have a lot of termites. They eat wood and it falls. It even causes problems. For this reason, this area does not have electricity. However, you as an African American, you can avoid all these problems. You can avoid all these problems by listening to this. First of all, you need to buy a power generator, a power backup generator. Get a power backup generator as soon as possible when you want to live in Africa. Get it as soon as possible. Don't get those small generators. Get something powerful, something that can power your own your whole home, your whole house, you know. The second thing that you as an African American needs to do is you can invest on solar energy. You can do that huge solar. This is a very huge solar that provides energy, but it's quite expensive. It's close to $1,000,000 Kenya shillings, something around $8,000 to put that whole system of solar. But it gives such huge voltage. It gives such huge energy, you know. You can use solar, you can use generators. I find solar effective, but it's way expensive than the generator. But you know, once you install the solar, it will never ask you for money again. The generator will always be asking you for fuel, will also always be asking you for petrol, for gasoline. Yes, it will always be asking you for that. So these are some of the challenges that you as an African American is bound to meet when you move to Kenya. We have problems with electricity. Let no one lie to you. We have problems with electricity, particularly the rural areas. So do what I've just told you to avoid having such problems. The police, the Kenyan police are very, very corrupt. They'll find every means to take from you. They'll find every means to say that you are wrong, and they'll threaten you to arrest you and take you to jail, even when you have no problem. First thing you need to understand is this: when you move to a particular country, try and learn some of the laws. Try and learn some of the traffic laws. Try and learn some of the major offenses. Try and see how the police treat people. Do your research on the internet. See, how does these police people treat these people of this particular African country? Myself, as an African and as a Kenyan, I've seen police brutality. I have witnessed police brutality. These people are very brutal. At the same time, not all of them are brutal. Some of them are very, very good. However, you as an African American got to be smart. You as an African American, you have to be wise. Be smart times 10 of these police people. One thing you need to do is this. First of all, avoid those things that will get you into problem. Avoid them totally. It's obvious. I know we have police brutality in the United States of America, and you can never, ever compare that to the one in Africa. The one in Africa is like a shadow, but it's still a problem. It's still a problem. It's the shadow of that image. It's still a problem. Try and avoid the problems of these police officers and be wise, be smart. When you are caught up in a problem, if you have a lawyer, let the lawyer speak for you. Don't be quick to give money when you don't know. Don't be quick to anger. Kenyan police are really not good when somebody is angry at them. You know, they'll try and provoke you, and when you get angry at them, they'll find a reason to jail you. They'll find a reason to arrest you. So some of those things which you see in the United States happening are also happening here, but in small quantities. You know, here we ain't racist. The police ain't racist. Ain't that one, no. But they are corrupt. They are very, very corrupt. Our Kenyan police are corrupt because, first of all, why are they corrupt? It starts with the payment. The government is really issuing a very, very minimal payment to these police officers. And so the best way that they can find to help themselves, the best way that they can find to accommodate their living is by being corrupt. We have the traffic police always taking bribes from drivers, always risking the lives of people, you know. First, don't take an overloaded bus. Second, don't overspeed. Third, don't drive while drinking or under the influence of alcohol. These are some of the obvious things that you need to do. Now, this is the third reason why moving to Africa gonna be a challenge. You see the road I'm walking on right now? I told you the roads here are very, very bad. And remember, I told you about the schools. The school you can see right behind me. This is where my little sister studies. Yeah, she learns here. She's in a nursery school. Yes, and you can see how bad the road is. You can see how African children go to school. So would you be willing for your child to pass through all these in order for them to get education? This is the school behind me. Are you willing for all this to happen just for the sake of education? You know, education is the key you can use to change the world. And this one was said by Nelson Mandela. So, this one is a public school and it's quite affordable. It's really quite affordable. The only thing that I can really question, here is the quality of education. That's the major issue here. You know, this is a rural school, so there is compromises you will have to make. The schools here are not like the ones you have in the United States. No, this is Africa, and our level of education is not as much as the ones you have in the United States of America. So there always has to be some compromises that you will need to make as an African American who is wanting to come to Africa to live here. Because in one way or the other, you'll want to come here with your family. You'll want to come here with your children, and you'll want them to study. And these are the public schools that we have here. The one behind me, you can see it, right? Yeah. It's the same school I learned. It's the same school I went and did my education. And so, here I am doing YouTube. Yeah. But all in all, the point is one. Africa, we are still backward. We are still way backward. It's not like the United States of America. The things we are taught here is not the same things you are taught over there. The things that secondary schools are taught, the things that children in secondary school are taught here in Kenya is what children in the primary school are taught in the United States of America. So you can just see the things that are taught in the university in the USA. Some of these things are just being taught. Some of the things that we study in the university are what you guys study in secondary schools, in high schools. So we are way backward. Huh? But the government introduced something called the CBC, the curriculum-based, competency-based curriculum. The competency-based curriculum was here to correct the mistakes of the previous education system, which was the 844. The 844 stands for 8 years in primary, 4 years in high school or secondary, and 4 years at the university. So the government realized that it had a lot of challenges. Many people were talented, but the curriculum did not really support these people because it was so much on rote memorization. As long as you could cram things into your mind, you are good for university. But when you are skilled, when you are a talented artist, it would not show. Now the curriculum-based, competency-based curriculum is here to correct all that. And that's what I'm saying. If you come to Africa, there are some adjustments you need to make, you know. Now, let us bring matters into conclusion. It's not that I'm trying to roast Africa or I'm trying to roast the rural parts of Kenya or another part of Kenya, but these are problems that you face even in the United States of America. I'm so certain, in as much as it might not be rampant as the one we have in Africa, there are places in the United States of America where you don't have electricity, where you have bad roads, where you have corrupt police, where you don't have clean water. However, this one was done for educational purposes, so that you as an African American who is moving back to Africa not gonna suffer, because we are here to take care of you. Take the matters into conclusion and take them reasonably. Remember one thing, apply those things which you find effective to you. Eat the fruit, throw away the seeds. That's all for today. If you've enjoyed this video, kindly give it a super thanks. Give the video a super thanks, donate to the channel if possible, and also join my Patreon so that you can continue supporting us, me and my partner, bringing you more videos about Africa. See you in the next video where we'll discuss issues of Africa, about Africa, in Africa. Let's go.